We can go ahead and adjust Mark 2. No issue with that, right? So someone bearing the name Yahweh, right? Does that make them Yahweh?
Yeah, it means that they are.
Yes. Okay. So
no one has the name Yahweh except Yahweh alone. Yeah. That's not Nehemiah 9:6.
Okay.
It's not Nehemiah 9:6.
Okay. So when it comes to Exodus, when it comes to other prophets, when it says that Yahweh will do something, and then prophets do that thing, right? Does that make them Yahweh?
That's agency.
Okay. So what is the distinction in Christ being an agent of?
Because very good. Because Christ isn't just an agent of the Father, but he claims himself to be Yahweh himself.
That's a very clean question.
Let me finish.
Right.
I know, but you asked me, right?
There you go.
So we can discuss that. But I'm giving you the difference between an agent and Jesus, right? So an agent cannot claim to be Yahweh himself, cannot claim the prerogatives of Yahweh, but Jesus does. That's the symmetry breaker. So you'll never see, like, for example, Aaron, when, the example where Aaron takes the staff and when Yahweh says, I'll do it, Aaron does it. You'll never see Aaron say, I'm Yahweh, or claim to be Yahweh, or, whatever. Jesus does.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're familiar with it clearly. Obviously, they know that whenever the verse is being quoted, it says that Yahweh is literally the one who's holding the rod in his hand, but obviously it's Aaron, the one who's holding the rod in his hand. So we would just say that's divine agency, yeah. But back to what Teammate was saying, you would have to obviously show first that Jesus actually does claim any kind of divinity for them to be a differentiator.
Of course. So you do agree that is a symmetry breaker, though, right?
No, because for example, when you say divine prerogatives, you mean divine properties?
Yes, of God. So like being all powerful, all knowing, judge of heaven and earth.
So
resurrecting the dead, first and last.
So when it comes to knowing all things, would you agree that's a divine prerogative, right?
Yes. And so that's what I'm asking. Like if Jesus is claiming to have the divine attributes or prerogatives of God, like the things only God does, the claims that only God can make, would you agree that would be a symmetry breaker between an agent of Yahweh and Yahweh?
No, because we see other instances where others other than Yahweh, other than Jesus, right, would quote unquote be predicated with these prerogatives. For example, 1 John 2:20 said that the disciples know all things.
No,
it says that.
No, that's qualified.
Okay,
yeah, it's qualified. Yeah. So what we're trying to say is that if Jesus claims to be Yahweh, okay, that can only mean he's either lying, ignorant, or he is actually Yahweh.
So there's a fourth option.
Can I give you
in Jewish monotheism in the first century, the legal status, the status of a sender is the same as an agent.
But this sender, the agent, the can never claim to be the king, as he knows. He never claim to be Yahweh.
He has the same exact status of it. For example,
well,
I'm quoting you actual reference. This is found in like Nedarim 72b. These are midrash.
I don't care about that.
The thing is, I'm saying there's a fourth option you could say from Jewish monotheism that's agency still, because Jewish monotheism allows this.
No. Watch out for that.
Watch out, if I can just finish it, please. We can find this example in 1 Samuel 25 when David wants to go marry Abigail, and so he sends his servants, and then the servants go to Abigail, and Abigail prostrates and speaks in the singular in the Hebrew, as if you're speaking to David, but you're speaking to the servants.
As if you're speaking to David, but you're speaking to the servants.
Also, because the servants have been sent by David, so they have the exact same status as David, while not actually being him.
Do the servants claim to be David?
It doesn't.
Hold up. Do the servants claim to be David?
They are called David.
Please. Do the servants claim to be
Not in
David?
this instance, but it was
exactly. If they did, what would happen to them?
Nothing.
Why are we skipping over this?
If the servants claim,
Go ahead.
If the servants claim to be the king, you said nothing would happen to them?
No.
That's called what was it called? Treason. Treason. There you go.
Yeah.
That's treason, dude. You can't. A servant cannot claim to be a king. He'll be put to death.
Yeah, only in the sense of his status.
Let me listen. So we see you're bringing up examples where people represent the king, but they are not the king themselves. They cannot claim to be the king themselves. So we're not when it comes to Jesus. Jesus is not claiming to just be a servant of the Father. He claims to be God. He claims to have the divine prerogatives that only God has, the titles that only God has, actions that only God has. So would you agree that this is a symmetry breaker between a mere agent? So an agent can claim to be God?
Yeah, and I'm giving an example that she gave in 1 Samuel, right? Where she calls the people, the servants, he says, my servant. So she identifies them as David. She says that they're David, although David isn't actually present. Okay, so that's number one.
Can you bring up the reference?
Yeah, it was 1 Samuel 25, 39 to 41.
Let's read that. And what's your point on this?
And then the point is that she calls them David, although David isn't present. So they bear the name David. They're identified as David, although David isn't there.
Yeah, can you? Okay, so there's two different things here. Number one.
Can I read it?
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
Okay, and so then David sent word to Abigail.
Sorry. Let me go along with you.
Yeah. Then David sent someone to Abigail, asking her to become his wife. His servants went to Carmel and said to Abigail, David has sent us to take you to become his wife. She bowed down with her face to the ground and said, I am your servant, and I'm ready to serve you and wash the feet of my Lord's servants. right? So she identifies the people as the seven.
Wait, I'm confused. Hold on, let me see. So the servants of David came to Abigail at Carmel and spoke to her, saying, David has sent us to you to take you as his wife. And she arose and bowed with her face to the ground and said, Behold, your maidservant is a servant woman to wash the feet of my Lord's servants. Then Abigail hurried and arose, and she rode on a donkey with her 5 young women who went about with her, and she went after the messengers of David and became his wife. Where does it say that she called them David?
She said she bowed down with her face to the ground and said, I am your servant. So they address the people as a singular servant, which is David.
Well, no, where does it say? No, see, this is why we got to read, bro. You said that she called them David.
The people, the servants, he says, my servant. So she identifies them as David. She said that they're David, although David isn't actually present.
No, I said, who's the servant in this case?
The servants are the messengers that David sent, and she's their servant.
Wait, servant with a singular? Who's the servant?
Look, it says this.
What they represent?
Look, this is what it says. She says, David sent us, yada, yada, yada. Let's go to what she said. Behold, she says, behold, your maid servant. Servant is singular. She's the servant.
Yeah, to who?
To the servants of David.
But you is a singular. It's not a plural.
So the you.
So the you is in reference to only David.
No, it's not. Let me go ahead and respond to this, because in Exodus 20, when it says you shall have no other gods before you, that you is in the singular, but it's referring to the nation of Israel, correct?
Yeah, that's just because Israel can be referred to as a one. Yeah.
So you can have the servants be referred to as one, even though it's referring to a plurality of persons.
But the thing is, you see a difference. You see, because after the thing is, when they're speaking on the behalf of David, Abigail refers to them as one, but then after that, then refers to them as plural servants. So while accepting they're multiple people, whenever they're speaking on the behalf of David, she only calls them one person. Okay. Now, whenever she's speaking or when she's performing. Yes, that's why the U is a singular in the Hebrew.
I just gave you so then.
But then all of a sudden, then it goes to plural once they're not acting on the behalf of David.
And we're going to use this argument. Then you're going to have to say, then when Yahweh's told Israel, you shall have no other gods before me, that you there in the Hebrew is in the masculine singular. So
no, this is qualifying.
But it's addressing.
Right,
that's my point. So is Exodus 20. Is that the you is singular when God is talking to the nation that has a plurality of individuals. So just because the you will be singular, we have to check this, but even if the you is in the singular form,
Wait, the servant, the word for servants?
the word for...
Okay.
So even if the you is in the singular there, it can refer to a community or a corporate entity. So the servants on David's behalf will be a corporate entity. She can use the you there singularly. Nowhere here does it say that she's calling...
It's not about the you. It's the fact that it's about that, and it's a servant.
She's look, brother.
It's a servant, bro.
But hold on. Yeah. She's the servant. It says, behold, your maidservant. Your maidservant is...
I am your servant.
Yes.
Who's your servant? Who's your servant to?
To the servants of David.
And it represents David, right?
So they're representing...
Right, they represent David.
They represent David. So notice, so can we agree here that she does not refer to the servants as David?
It does. You said he is.
No, I didn't.
No, you said yes.
I'll explain again.
He just said yes to refer to David.
No,
when the servants are speaking on the behalf of David, she refers to them as a singular because she's referring to David, because in Jewish monotheism, which we have first century Jewish attestation, the legal status of a sender is this, or of the sender is the same as an agent. So the reason why it's in the reference.
This is like...
Yeah, but I'm saying we have first century Jewish attestation. So I'm saying in comparison with the historical argument on how we would compare this with Jesus, we would look at it from a first century Jewish lens, that Jesus is just an agent because he has the same legal authority as Yahweh while not actually being Yahweh.
Can we get back to that main point though? Does the servants claim to be the king or David?
It's simple.
No, they don't, but they don't need
this
to.
is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Oh my, no.
They don't need to.
Because here's the symmetry breaker. The symmetry breaker is Jesus does. And so let me ask you this.
But now what you're doing is you're just...
Hold on. If an agent claimed to be, like, let's say for these servants, if they claimed to be the king, would they be wrong?
Yeah, they would not be wrong, because the same way where Moses claims to be Elohim doesn't mean he's literally Elohim.
Where does Moses claim to be Elohim?
When he's made Elohim to
Does
Pharaoh.
Moses claim that?
He's not the author of Exodus?
Brother, is Moses the one saying I am Elohim?
Or who's speaking Exodus? Who's speaking Exodus?
Who's he quoting?
Who's he speaking?
Who's he quoting?
Who is he?
Why also asking me a question?
No, I'm the one who asked the question.
I asked a question.
I know, because you asked the question with a question. Don't tell me that.
I've been asking the question.
Okay, so I asked, did Moses claim to be Elohim? Did he claim that himself? And the answer is?
Right, he's the author of the Pentateuch.
And who's he quoting in the Pentateuch?
Sure, he's quoting God. Wow.
So he himself is not claiming to be Elohim. He's saying this is what God said.
And if you're going to use those kind of arguments, it's going to be the exact same sense with any time Jesus is speaking. It's actually a revelation from God that he's only speaking because God told him to, because he has no will of
No,
God.
that's bad.
So if you're trying to use that kind of argument,
Aaron, this is bad because I'm not talking. No, this is what I'm saying. Okay, because you have where Moses talks. and you have where Moses quotes Yahweh, right?
Right.
Yes,
You
Moses
have-
speaks in Exodus.
You have Jesus where Jesus speaks. You have Jesus where he quotes the Father. And we actually see when the Father speaks back to the Son, right? So we know when the person is speaking, context will tell us, yada, yada, yada. My point is that never, ever do you see an agent of Yahweh claim to be Yahweh. You'll never see that. So with Jesus, he's not just merely an agent, which is why this conversation we're having, he's not just an agent. He claims to be Yahweh. He claims to be God. And that's where we need to get to.
So
And we would just be saying that that's okay because as an agent, he has the same status as the sender, and his sender is Yahweh. But he makes it very clear throughout the Gospels that he doesn't do anything on his own accord. He has things given to him. He seeks someone else's will. These are all things that you would suspect and expect in Jewish agency, but you wouldn't.
That's what we would expect a Trinitarian theology.
Right, absolutely.
Exactly, because we're doing historicity, and we're making the point from a historical standpoint. First century Jewish monotheism is completely compatible with these texts.
I disagree. Because according to first century Judaism, first of all, when you even talk to, they don't even know who the angel of the Lord is. Depending on which Jews you're asking about, the angel of the Lord is a problem. He's a problem because the angel of the Lord doesn't claim to be an agent of Yahweh. He claims to be Yahweh himself. He says, I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Right,
he says, I'm the one who makes the covenant with you. He says to Abraham, you did not withhold your son from me. Right? So Yahweh continues, the angel of the Lord continues to claim to be Yahweh, while with agents, you'll see Gabriel says, this is what Yahweh said. I'm a messenger from Yahweh. You'll see Moses and Aaron and all the other prophets, thus says Yahweh. You don't see that with the angel of the Lord.